I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Wednesday, February the 20th, 2013. In continuing to take steps towards forming his new coalition, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to meet later this evening with Kadima Party Chairman Shaul Mofaz. The two are expected to talk about Kadima's possible inclusion in the Netanyahu-led coalition. Ynet cites sources in the Kadima Party saying that they would only join the government if an agreement was reached regarding equal distribution of the burden of army service in Israel. And staying with the Prime Minister, Netanyahu met today with visiting Republican U.S. Senator Marco Rubio, to whom the Prime Minister expressed his gratitude for American bipartisan support for Israel's security and quest for peace. And Rubio reaffirmed that support.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the tremendous support of the American people, bipartisan support for our security and our quest for peace. And we've got our hands full with both security and the quest for peace. And it's a daunting task, but we know you'll have your support, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to talking about our challenges.
Well, you live in a challenging neighborhood.
It's a tough one.
It is. But the Israeli-American relationship is one of the most important ones we have, and certainly our commitment to that partnership is bipartisan, and it should remain that way. And that's why I'm pleased the President's coming here in March to.
We look forward to receiving you.
Absolutely.
Rubio arrived in Israel after visiting Jordan earlier this week and met with Netanyahu as well as with President Shimon Peres and other political leaders. This is his second trip to the country. The first was back in 2010, a few weeks after he won the Florida senatorial race. The Board of Governors of the Jewish Agency for Israel unanimously passed a resolution on Tuesday calling on U.S. President Obama to grant clemency to Jonathan Pollard. The resolution called for Pollard to be released on humanitarian grounds, citing his deteriorating health and, quote, overly harsh sentence. Natan Sharansky, who, as we reported to you yesterday, was reelected as the organization's chairman, said of Pollard, the time has come to vigorously and loudly demand his freedom. 28 years is more than enough. Pollard was convicted in 1987 of spying for Israel. He is currently in the 28th year of his life sentence. The Jerusalem Post reports that a terror suspect accused of plotting an attack against Israeli tourists in Cyprus has admitted that he is a member of Hezbollah. 24-year-old Hossam Taleb Yaqub, a Lebanese-Swedish dual citizen, told a Cypriot court today that he was a member of the terror group. He is facing 8 charges related to accusations of plotting to attack Israelis visiting Cyprus's seaport city of Limassol in July of last year. The Jerusalem Post also stated that the verdict in Yaqub's case could have some impact on the European Union's decision-making process on whether to designate Hezbollah as a terror group, something it has been urged to do, especially following Bulgaria's recent findings that Hezbollah was behind the terror attack that killed 5 Israelis in its coastal city of Burgas last summer. Similarities have been noted between the method of surveillance that Yaqub used in Cyprus to that used by the Burgas attackers. The American Jewish Committee today expressed their concern for growing anti-Semitism in France. As you may have seen on IBA News, a new report by the French Jewish Communities Protection Service, the SPCJ, detailed the recent surge in anti-Semitic incidents in France and found that 2012 was the most violent year since 2004, including a notable rise in attacks following the deadly shooting attack on the Jewish day school in Toulouse last March. AJC Executive Director David Harris said the AJC continues to stand with the French Jewish community and said the SPCJ report is a sobering reminder that major institutions, both governmental and civil society, must further step up their efforts against those who would act in the name of such venomous and violent hatred. Hate that threatens not only the country's Jewish community, but no less French society and its core value structure as a whole. And finally today, Yeshiva University Museum received a prestigious signature grant from the Covenant Foundation. which develops and supports Jewish education and community building projects and programs in the U.S. The grant will allow the museum to expand its program, Reimagining Jewish Education Through Art, which is an initiative that uses the arts to enhance learning and appreciation of Jewish texts. The arts-based educational approach was pioneered by the Lincoln Center Institute for the Arts in Education and has been reconceived by the YU Museum program to apply specifically to Jewish schools. YU Museum will partner with the Lincoln Center Institute to train educators in the approach and will run the program in Jewish day schools from the various streams of Judaism, both in New York and outside of New York. Yeshiva University Museum is the cultural arm of Yeshiva University and is dedicated to the presentation and interpretation of the artistic and cultural achievements of Jewish life. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Wednesday, February the 20th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader.